Good morning and welcome back to my channel. It's Sunday the 16th of February 2025. It's just after 10 o'clock. Please excuse the washing machine in the next room. It's just decided to spin. I'm going to start my video each week with something called What's in the Basket or What's for the Basket. This is what I intend to put in the basket I group this week. It's Mr. Organic Italian Organic Passata. I'm trying really hard to put things in the basket that we use at home, rather than just thinking I can chuck a cheap apple in. So that's for me. That's me taking ownership and responsibility. So this is what's for the basket. I want to talk really this week about Free Food February. I think they're calling it the Free Food Festival, and it's very much because of the F in February to get us focused back on free food. And as I've said before, there are 350 listings of free food in our books. Now, I won't profess to having read all of these because my book lives in the car. It only comes out for group. But I do have an understanding after many years of what is free food. And free food, it's not just fruit and vegetables. There are other free foods, like you've got your low-fat cottage cheeses and stuff like that. But I think you have to find a place and a space that works for you. So I'm never going to eat endive. I'm never going to eat radicchio lettuce. I'm never going to eat even cherry tomatoes because I don't really like those things. I don't enjoy them. But my free foods are very much cauliflower. I like courgettes, I love onions, I love garlic, I love spinach, which is something Joe doesn't like, but we all have our own things, don't we? And I would rather focus on hot vegetables. I'm not a salad eater. And I think when you look down the list of free foods and you look through the lean meats and the fishes and the shellfish and all of these other things, the berries, the fruits, we'll all eat different fruit because we'll all have favourites. I don't eat things like satsumas. It's not that I don't like them, it's just that they don't inspire me. I am a lover of apples. I'm a lover of English apples. I'm a lover of conference pears. And I would rather eat those things as my free food rather than say, well, I've got to have a punnet of raspberries. Because I'll be honest with you, as a blind person, it's very difficult to buy things like raspberries, which are ripening so quickly that you can't see if there's a little bit of, mould or whatever on these things. I mean, I always wash my fruit. But one of the subjects I was talking with Shell about this week, because Shell's like me, she's totally blind. We were talking about broccoli, fresh broccoli. Joe loves broccoli. Now you go into your supermarkets, you'll buy your broccoli, it's wrapped in plastic, and you've got to really give it a good inspection and a good wash because there are often little black bugs in it. That freaks me out as a blind person. If I was wanting it and Joe would clean, make sure for me that it was totally clean. But if I want to be Mrs. Independent and I'm doing it for myself, just the thought of there being one of those bugs in there is enough to put me off. But I know the things that I can deal with easily and quickly and safely and comfortably. So I'm not. Now a cauliflower for me is a different kettle of fish. Cauliflowers are easy to make sure they're clean. I love cauliflower rice, things like that. But you find it's not one size fits all. That's why we've got 350 choices and none of us are going to love all 350 of those choices. One of the things I heard my previous consultant say was, go through the list and highlight with a highlighter pen the things that you think, yeah, I'd enjoy that. And then disregard the rest. Because if you're going to look at something like fish, I like haddock, I like cod, I like halibut, but I wouldn't eat monkfish. I can't say it. I wouldn't eat monkfish if it was the last fish on the planet because it just Just the thought of it. It reminds me of a sponge. But some other people might say, oh, that's my favourite, I adore it. You've got to find what works for you. I love shellfish. I've got a lot of friends who would never touch shellfish. I've got a son who's allergic to some shellfish. We're all very different. So take this plan, look at the free foods, select the bits that really work for you, the bits that spark joy in you, the bits that make you think, oh yeah, that sounds appetising. Which is why I say you won't see me eating radicchio or endives, whatever they're called. I love the idea of eating protein as in fish and meat and poultry, even eggs. But if I eat 6 eggs a month, that's probably as many as I do eat. It's not that I don't like them. I do like them. An egg is good nutrition, it's more or less 50% fat, 50% protein. But an egg is something I've got to fancy. So I like a couple of poached eggs. I like 2 or 3 scrambled eggs, but probably once or twice a month. Other people would love to eat eggs every day. Eggs for breakfast, omelettes for lunch, whatever. But we're not all the same. If you make it work for you in the best way you can, you're far more likely to want to do it day after day after day. Right, I wrote down a few comments or points, and I'm going to ask Jo to feed them back to me, and then I'll just touch on them.
Okay, so free food as it relates to carbs.
For a long time when I did Slimming World many years ago, and over the years, I was terrified of carbohydrates because I'd got it into my head carbs were what made me fat. I still believe sugar is something that, for me, as a weight loss person, is not a good thing. But I don't believe anymore that carbs make me fat. I believe carbs are good for me. I need them. And looking at this plan, Slimming World is based quite heavily on carbs. But if you're doing Slimming World and you're blaming carbs for your weight gains, give your head a wobble and look at the rest of what you're eating, because it might well be the crisps and the Prosecco and the chocolate and the whatever you're using for your sins. Swap to Savvy Sins. Don't cut out carbs. If you're cutting out carbs and you're trying to do Slimming World without carbs, you ain't doing Slimming World. Okay? Next.
Carbs are the fuel we use to exercise.
Now this is something Joe's been teaching me or trying to make me understand. Because he goes to the gym, because he lifts big weights, carbs are something you can burn doing your exercises, aren't they? That they are fuel. Yes, Joe?
Yep.
Whereas if you want the energy, I look at it from the other end. Rather than thinking carbs are the energy I'm going to use for my exercise, I kind of look at it from the other end and I think to myself, what is going to give me energy? The energy to live my life, the energy to have enthusiasm, the energy to want to do my housework, the energy to want to move a bit faster, do a bit more, clean the windows, feel motivated. And I'm thinking now, at the stage I'm at in Slimming World, that's what carbs are doing for me. So when I decided the other night when Joe was out, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go and strip the beds and change the beds and whatever. And this is, well into the evening when a lot of people might have been vegging in front of Netflix. I'm hoovering under the beds and changing the beds, and part of me's thinking, where the hell am I getting this energy from? That's where the carbs come in for me. That's what helps me with carbs. So that's why I don't go, I'm not touching carbs because carbs will make me fat.
It's kind of silly on Slimming World to be worrying about carbs because you can only use carbs or fat for fuel. So if you're on a low fat plan like Slimming World and you're also scared of carbs, what are you going to do?
Yeah, because even if you use your sins sensibly, if you're only using them on carbs, but then you're saying, I'm not going to eat rice, I'm not going to eat pasta, I'm not going to eat potatoes, carbs, but then you're spending your sins on crisps and whatever, you're still eating carbs. You need carbs. I really firmly believe today I need carbs. There have been times in the past when I've been an idiot trying to do SP, thinking that 200 grams of chicken was 200 grams of protein. It's not. Is it, Joe?
No.
And stuff like that. I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the understanding, but had an awful lot of fear around carbs. Thank God today I'm free from that, because I'm doing what this plan says. It's high carbs, low fat, and it's working. Next.
The Slimming World, carbs retain more fluid, but it's not fat.
Yeah, I mean, I had a week, I think it was week 20, when I gained a pound, because the night before I'd eaten a kilogram of new potatoes, Jersey Royals. And I actually gained a pound the following morning. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And Joe's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You have not put a pound of fat on. You've retained water because you ate a kilogram, a whole kilogram, 2.24 pounds of new potatoes. What did you expect the morning after? You know? And now I know those sort of things. I know that when I get weighed, if I've had a heavy carb day the day before, as in a whole kilogram of new potatoes, that I've not gained a pound of fat, I've gained water. And water isn't fat. It's not to worry about. We're working at getting the fat down, but our bodies need a good amount of water in them. I mean, I'm not going to quote percentages, but I think it's probably 65% plus of our total body makeup is water.
It's like every gram holds on to 4 grams of water. Every gram of carbohydrate holds on to 4 grams of water.
But only in the short term.
Yeah.
Because you're going to pee it out later in the day, or
if you don't eat the same the next day, it
balances itself out. The body is far more knowledgeable and far cleverer than we are. Next one.
The Slimming World plan is predominantly low fat, using carbs for satiety and energy.
Yeah, that is really true. That's why we need carbs on the Slimming World plan. Satiety. Because if you look at the free food list and all the fruits and all the vegetables, they've all got carbs. And if you're not going to eat a good volume of fruit and vegetables, pasta, rice, all that sort of stuff, carb stuff, if you're not going to eat a good volume, you're going to walk around all day thinking, oh God, I'm so hungry. And then what happens? You know, the idiot thinking or the stinking thinking or the voice on the shoulder kicks in and goes, you don't need to be hungry. You know, there's your kid's chocolate in the cupboard, or there's your husband's whatever in the cupboard, or whatever, if you don't live on your own. Or you can ring for a takeaway. That stinking thinking, for me, is very limited by the fact that my belly's full of food. So I am a volume eater. And that works for me, because if I'm not, well, I don't ever go hungry. So actually saying I'm hungry, I mean, I said to you the other day, it was a morning and I don't usually eat breakfast. I woke up hungry, so I ate breakfast. There's, you know what I mean? There's no routine where every day is going to be the same, because it's all dependent on what you did yesterday, the energy you burned, what you ate, whatever. But I am a firm believer in, if you follow this plan, as it says in the book, you can't fail. And I get so annoyed. I mean, the other day I nearly threw the iPad through the window. Wow. Because there was a lady on there, I'm not going to say what the channel was, but she was spouting about Slimming World doesn't work because you can't eat avocado. Yes, you can. You can eat avocado on Slimming World. And the thing that makes me cross is these people who spout about you can't eat avocado. How many times do they eat it anyway? Some of them would probably go into a supermarket and not even know what an avocado looked like. Don't come on here slagging off Slimming World because you can't eat avocado. That's one food produce. And that's one food produce you can eat if you count the sins. You can eat a whole decent sized avocado for 14 sins. You can eat half of one. You can weigh it and eat it by the gram for your sins. So I might say have 6 or 7 sins worth of avocado with something else. But don't come on here. There is nowhere in the books it says you cannot eat avocado. Joe said something really wise. He went bottom line. You can't eat half an avocado and a bag of crisps and some chocolate and a glass of Prosecco. You pay your money, you take your choice. I've heard Margaret Miles Bramwell say you can eat anything on this plan, and I thought, really? Yeah, you can, if you're sensible, but you're not going to eat a whole baguette of garlic bread. You work out how many sins for a slice or 2 slices, you eat that, but then when it gets to night time, you don't have a glass of Prosecco, a Freddo and a packet of Quavers. You pay your money, you take your choice, you work out which is more important to you. Do you really want half an avocado for 7 sins, or do you really want a glass of Prosecco for however many sins that is? We're in a situation where we need to grow up, take ownership of our lives, and work out which is more important to us. I'm still having my whiskey every day and my coffee, but I've seen it. But when the bottle's empty, which it is more or less now, I might stop, because the only other whiskey I've got is malt whiskey, and I'm not sure about putting that in coffee. It seems a bit of a waste for a £45 bottle of malt whiskey to go in coffee. But I'll see. I've got a choice. Next.
Use sins to bring up the fat in the plan.
Yeah, this is something I do. I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but I find as an older lady, postmenopausal by about, 13 years or something. I'm not sure when I went through the menopause because I didn't notice. I'm one of the lucky ones. I do realise a lot of girls struggle with this. I think I blinked and missed it. But the choices for me today... Sorry, what was the question? I've gone off at a tangent.
It wasn't even a question.
What was comment?
Use the sins to bring up the fat in the plan.
Fat. As an older woman, I need some more fat in my diet. I can't get away with being as low-fat slimming world as I could 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. I need fat in my diet for my skin. I don't put oils and things on the outside of my skin. I choose to feed it from the inside. So hydrated with some fat in my diet does a lot more for my skin and my wrinkles than oil of Olay or E45 or anything like that. So what I've choose to do is, I've got 15 sins. I don't do this, I'm only going to use 3, I'm only going to use 5. I'm not focused on just the weight loss, I'm focused on health now. I've got 15 sins, I can spend them on whatever I like. Think of it like, 15 quid. I can spend 15 quid on whatever I like. And I might choose, like yesterday, I chose for 6 sins to have a whole tub of Longley Farm cottage cheese with pineapple, which is my new favourite cottage cheese. Now, some people might go, oh, no. Fat-free cottage cheese, it's free food. Why would you waste 6 sins? Get the free food one. No thanks, it doesn't taste nice. But it's got no fat. I need fat. I might sin a tablespoon of olive oil for 6 sins, or a teaspoon for 2 sins. I might sin some ghee, but ghee, which I'm making a curry, I'd use ghee. Ghee, I think, is about 11 sins for a tablespoon. But if I was making a curry that made 3 or 4 portions, so that it's actually 2.5 to 3.5 sins a portion, that's not high. It's stuff like that. I tend not to go for hard cheeses for the simple reason that your hard cheeses, like your cheddars and whatever, have something in called casomorphine, which is what the mother cow produces to get the baby hooked on cow's milk. The baby calf, not our baby. The baby calf hooked on cow's milk. The calf will keep coming back because the effects of cow's milk on a calf, which is what it's supposed to feed, is like, ooh, mummy, that's lovely. Come back for more. But the casomorphine comes through in hard cheeses. So if I eat something like hard cheddars, I think maybe parmesans and whatever, then I get the, whoo, mummy, come back for more feeling if I'm not careful. So I tend to choose A choices as milk rather than cheeses. But I do eat things with cheese in. Like, one of my favourite frozen meals from Iceland is the My Protein creamy king prawn linguine, which is 5 sins. And that's because there's some cheesy fat in the sauce. Slimming World are doing a similar meal, which I think is a choice, so 6 sins. I haven't tried that. But wherever I can, I want to be using at least let's say 8 of my sins on things with fatting. So I might, what did I have the other day? 75 grams of olives, which is 4.5 sins.
The thing I learned about cheese was that they give it to the Tour de France athletes, like on all of their meals when they're trying to force down like loads of calories because it's addictive. If they need something like 15,000 calories a day,
yeah,
they'll put cheese on all of their meals because it makes eating the calories easier.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, let's face it, who doesn't love grated cheese on everything or cheese sauce on everything? But they need 15,000 calories a day because they're in the Tour de France, they've got to pedal like hell up a mountain. I don't. And the trouble with me is, Joe used to, I don't know if he still would, but he used to eat a lot of goat's cheese, a hard goat's cheese from Marks. When he was out at the gym, I used to go and see how many blocks were in his fridge, and I'd think there's 5. If I ate one, would he notice? Did you ever notice?
Probably only because you told me.
I used to get a block of this cheese, which was like, I don't know, 300 grams, and I used to just hold it in my hand like chocolate and just eat the whole block of cheese. And that would have been like 10 A choices. But sometimes that voice on the shoulder, or that stinking thinking, used to say, do it. And tell you what, I never didn't, and I say this, I always regretted it. After I'd had the last mouthful, I always thought, why the hell did I just do that? That was so pointless. So what did that then bring up in me? Feelings of guilt. And if we wanted to get onto the subject of emotional eating, which we're not, you know, those feelings of guilt then lead to emotional eating, which then leads to me being back in the cupboard for another block of cheese or something just as unnecessary. Is there another comment?
Yeah, it was the one about most food contains carbohydrates.
Carbs, yeah.
Surprised to learn lentils.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast with Joe the other day.
Or 22 minutes.
Okay. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I think, where do vegetarians and vegans get their proteins from? Lentils, pulses. I was astounded to learn that lentils are 51% carbohydrates, 23% protein. I didn't know that. You can live and learn even at my age. Anyway, I'm going before the battery or the camera runs out. Have a great week. I maintained this week. No actual weight loss, but hey ho, 15 sins every day and a maintain. I'm very happy with that. See you next week. Bye.